Hi, this is Brian Kim. I'm going to share with you case number 153 in the best way to do cataract surgery series. You can see this patient has a really strong Bell's reflex. I try to not grab the eye typically, but in this case, this reflex is so strong I have to actually hold the eye with forceps in one situation. But then I try to utilize the Orlock technique. The Orlock technique allows me to control the eye without having to grab the eye, which is very safe. It also doesn't cause any discomfort, doesn't cause any conjunctival trauma or corneal abrasion in order to control the eye using the Orlock technique. So again, you can see this patient, this is the left eye, the patient's eye is completely turned upward towards the right. I'm using the cotton tip to help steady the eye and make the eye pointed up and down. And then this is a corneal marker, which will help me to center incisor-rhexis. As you can see, I'm trying to get a flat approach with my paracentesis incision on the right side, but because the patient's looking up, that's not going to happen. If I try to make that incision, it's going to be very short and more prone to leakage. So it makes more sense. I'm grabbing the eye with the forceps contra-incisionally, turning the eye all the way to the left, and then I'm able to get a nice flat approach with my paracentesis on the right side. And then now, of course, it's much easier here on the left side because the eye is already pointed towards right, and that creates a nice parallel incision, so I get a nice corneal shelf, which will allow me to achieve a self-sealing incision. This is intracameral lidocaine, and then some intracameral epinephrine, and then some dispersive viscoelastic to coat the corneal endothelium and then flatten the anterior capsule. Again, you can see the Orlock technique. I'm turning the eye. I rotate the cannula within the incision, and this is a tri-planar corneal incision. I make a vertical groove, place the blade into the deep part of the groove, tunnel, and then I'm able to enter. And this is my Capsulorhexis Forceps technique. I'm able to puncture with a sharp tip, pull down, create a nice tear, grab the right side of the tear, going around circumferentially, again, using the Orlock to keep the eye nice and straight because this patient's fighting me the entire time. I'm able to feel the tension that the patient's having on the cannula, but I'm able to control it really well. You can see there's no corneal stria, there's no distortion on the eye as I do this, and I'm able to complete the rhexis confidently, again, without grabbing the eye and causing any pain to the patient. This is the capsular fornix hydrodissection technique. I place the cannula under the rhexis edge contra-incisionally, point the tip down, get a nice wave, decompress on the left side, hooking the peripheral lens on the right side, and the lens begins to spin. Irrigating the surface of the eye, lifting the incision with the chopper, going in with irrigation off to minimize Descemet's trauma, removing the surface epinuclear material. And here we go. I'm pronating my hand. I'm going out flat with the chopper tip out away from me. I'm sliding underneath the rhexis edge. I get out, and then I supinate my hand so the chopper is pointed more straight up and down. I have the phaco tip stabbing subincisionally, vertically. Because this is a softer lens, I'm able to get into the meat of the lens. I bring both instruments together towards the center, and it fractures the lens in half with crushing forces. I pronate my hand again, sliding the chopper out flat underneath the rhexis edge on the right side, supinating my hand so the chopper is pointed up and down. I pull it centrally towards the phaco tip, fracturing the lens against the phaco tip. That is the cross chop, fracturing the right heminucleus completely in half. And now I have three separate pieces. I use a little bit of vacuum to lift that first quadrant up. It comes out really nicely and quite easily. And then I get around the lens piece with the chopper as I'm lifting it up, and then I'm crushing the lens piece between the instruments. And in this case, because it's fairly soft, I'm using high vacuum to remove the lens pieces from the eye. Again, I pronate my hand, slide that chopper underneath the second quadrant, Supinating again, now that the chopper is out in the equator level, and around the lens, I'm able to pull and prolapse that second quadrant up out of the bag very easily. And now that it's up out of the bag, I'm able to crush the lens between the instruments and then emulsify. I rotate that second heminucleus in front of me, getting the chopper around the lens, crushing the lens again between the instruments, bisecting that second heminucleus in half. The third quadrant pops up, crush it into smaller pieces, and then emulsifying it. And then same thing with that fourth quadrant, it pops right up, crushing it between the instruments, and then emulsifying it with high vacuum. You can see the CDE is 0 in this case. So I take the chopper out, push BSS in, take the phaco tip out, go in with the INA handpiece. I start subincisionally, but you can see the cortex was already very loose in this situation, so it just kind of all comes out all at once. I switch to polish mode, polishing underneath the rhexis edge, grabbing some remnants of that cortical material, removing the lens epithelial cells along the rhexis edge some more. Polishing the posterior capsule as well. As you can see, I spent a lot of time cleaning up the bag. Sometimes I'll see patients upon referral and they're pseudophaking. You can see capsule phimosis. Sometimes you can see quite a bit of lens material that's still within the capsular bag. You just spend an extra time to really clean up the bag. It's a few seconds, but it's the right thing to do for the patient. Pulsing BSS into the subincisional capsule fornix, which was clean. Pushing cohesive viscoelastic to fill the bag. Polishing underneath the rhexis edge. First on the left side and then the right side. Removing the lens epithelial cells here. As long as you approach every case like it's your family member, I think you're going to go above and beyond and really try to do the best for every single patient. Placing the single piece acrylic lens into the capsular bag. Quickly transitioning to the INA handpiece, going in with irrigation off, activating irrigation, making sure the haptics are disengaged from the optic, going underneath the lens, tilting it and rotating it 90 degrees clockwise, removing the viscoelastic from within the bag, polishing underneath the rhexis edge again, getting underneath the lens and really making sure it's nice and clean. Sometimes you can see some trapped material between the lens and the posterior capsule, so I like to remove that whenever I have to. I see some more there, so I'm starting to polish and remove that again. Oftentimes that lens material can be the nidus for more PCO, so you want to just get rid of that stuff. Switching to visco mode, removing the viscoelastic from the anterior chamber, and then I'll hydrate my incision. So again, you can see this patient has a really extreme Bell's reflex. Once I lose the two-handed control of the eye, look at this eye. It starts to roll all the way back to the right again. Very strong Bell's reflex. I actually had to grab the eye when I tried to make my right paracentesis incision because this patient had such a strong Bell's reflex. I wasn't able to confidently get a nice parallel low profile incision on the right side paracentesis because the eye is rolled up so much to the right. So grabbing it with forceps on the other side, rotating the eye towards the left, so it allows me to get that nice flat approach, allows me then to achieve a self-sealing incision. You saw the double chop and cross chop in this fairly soft lens, very efficiently disassembling this lens fracturing the lens using mechanical forces, getting around the entire lens, knowing that I'm within the capsulotomy opening with my maneuvers, getting the chopper around the lens equator. That's the most important aspect of the technique. Being able to hook the lens peripherally with the chopper is so important, because that's when you're able to leverage the power of mechanical fracturing. And so then I'm able to fracture the lens between the instruments over and over again. Again, you saw the CDE was essentially 0. And especially in these soft lenses, when you have limited ultrasonic energy use, these patients have pristine corneas postoperative day 1, and even in really right after surgery. And so these patients, in my opinion, do very well, and this is why I prefer to do cataract surgery this way. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I thank you for your attention.